Hey there, how you doing? It's your ugly old pal Diablo, back once again with the Netherworld Videozine. That's right, I'm back with another one of my shitty videos. I want to talk to you about a little something called the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Now, originally, in 1974, it was the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Chainsaw, 2 words. Interesting little aside note there. 1974, Tobe Hooper, classic film. And I'm going to assume that everyone has seen it. For the lucky people that are going to see it for the first time, how fucking fun is that? Experiencing the sheer mayhem and insanity of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. It seems at this point that everyone and their one-eyed uncle has done a show, an episode, a video about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Just recently in February, a brand new Texas Chainsaw Massacre excuse me, was released on Netflix, produced by Fede Alvarez, he who directed the 2013 Evil Dead with my wife, Jane Levy. That was 9 years ago, just recently, to the day that the Evil Dead was released in theaters globally, I think. I was here in Puente Hills, so I'm going to assume that everywhere else it came out. Fede Alvarez. Fede also directed the film Don't Breathe, which also starred the beautiful Jane Levy. We'll get back to Fede Alvarez later. He produced this new Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and it's just Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and wants to be, tried to be, failed miserably. Horrible film to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, which had been attempted once before, and we'll get to that. So a lot of people right now in the last several months have done their shows and videos about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre franchise. And I said, why the fuck not I? Why can't Diablo do a show about the Texas Chainsaw Massacre? Because I can, and I will, and I'm going to do it right now. 1974, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre, directed by Tobe Hooper, starring Gunnar Hansen as Leatherface, the perennial OG Leatherface. Ed Neal as the hitchhiker, also known in the universe as Nubbins. Remember that. Jim Sidow as the cook, Drayton Sawyer. And you've also got the foxy 70s mamas, Terry McMinn as Pam, and Marilyn Burns as the iconic OG final girl. Now, I could be wrong, but I'm talking American horror and slasher films. Now, I wouldn't consider Texas Chainsaw Massacre a slasher film, but in the subgenres of horror, then there are many. In slashers, they refer to the final girl. And I have my personal favorite, which is Ginny from Friday the 13th Part 2, Amy Steele. Oh, Amy Steele. Still on my bucket list of a woman I would like to meet and take a picture with. At 61 years old, I still think she's sexy as fuck. off subject again. 1986, Tobe Hooper directs a sequel, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. Now, again, the central character of Leatherface, this time played by Bill Johnson. And I love Gunnar Hansen's portrayal of Leatherface, but I also really fucking enjoy Bill Johnson's portrayal of Leatherface in Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. No more Ed Neal, sadly, but you have Bill Moseley introducing the character of Chop Top. We never find out a name besides Chop Top, and that's how he's referred to forever. Chop Top Sawyer. Fucking amazing character. The insanity of Chop Top really permeates Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 and almost overshadows Leatherface as just a menacing, fucked up character. You've got Jim Sydal returning as the cook, Drayton Sawyer. Drayton also has more of a central character and becomes more of the patriarch of the family. Let us not forget Grandpa from the first and now in the second. In the first movie, there's also a mom. There's a corpse, never referred to as grandma or mom, but there is a mother character. In later years, this would be explored more, and I find that very interesting that there was a matriarch of the Sawyer clan. Not to be overshadowed by the Sawyer family themselves, there are the central characters of Stretch the DJ, played by Caroline Williams, who was pretty goddamn foxy back then in the mid-'80s. And probably the biggest mainstream star, Dennis fucking Hopper, as Lefty and Right. And Lefty and Stretch become the protagonists in the film and, get involved and run in with the Sawyer family. In 1990, there was a second sequel. This film is interesting because, to me, Leatherface, The Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, it was an early anomaly. And here is where you get into what I like to refer to as the alternate universe of Texas Chainsaw Massacre. R.A. Mihailoff portrays Leatherface, and this is a strong performance, appearance, overall vibe as Leatherface. I really dig. Again, I really dig Bill Johnson. I love Gunnar Hansen. Gunnar Hansen forever is Leatherface. You also have a young Viggo Mortensen as Eddie. And there he is. It's Sylvester, the superhero crime-fighting cat, who's joined us now. Hello, Mr. Silvers. Greetings and salutations, sir. He has pressing business to attend to. Joe Unger plays another member of this Sawyer family. And I always wondered, like, okay, he's got like a totally different family. There's a mother, grandpa from the previous films is present here. And seemingly Leatherface has a daughter named Baby, B-A-B-I, portrayed by Jennifer Banco. On a side note, Jennifer Banco had previously been in Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood, child actress. Jennifer plays Baby in Leatherface. She went on to be so fucking hot, appearing in several other films. And this particular still, I don't know what it's from. There appears to be a bunch of guns, and she has like this kind of like punk look, and fuck, man, she looks fucking hot. Jennifer Banco, Baby. Also starring Kate Hodge, the lovely Kate Hodge, who I met shortly after the film was released at her very first convention, along with the tiny little bitty Danielle Harris, her first convention appearance. And now, you know, she makes her small fortune in fucking doing conventions and, you know, all the other avenues that many of these young starlets do. Also starring William Butler as the annoying boyfriend, and the legendary Ken Foree as Benny, who at one point has a great swamp battle with Leatherface. It's the anomaly because I say it was the first film in the series that introduced a different family. And so if you think back to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2, I don't recall them, you know, definitively saying that Leatherface dies. Okay? Could he have had other siblings and another mom, stepmom, aunt? You know, I don't know. Next, in 1995, Kim Henkel, who co-wrote and produced the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, took the helm of Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Next Generation. Now, originally released as The Return of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, again, here you have this alternate universe and mythology, because the central character of Leatherface is back. Obviously, like I said, you can't have a Texas Chainsaw Massacre without Leatherface. But Robert Jarvis portrays Leatherface this time. And personally, I don't think it's a good portrayal of Leatherface. And I'm sorry, Mr. Jarvis, but I'm going to call it like it is. It's not a strong performance. Now, 29 years after the original film, Platinum Dunes Films, along with Michael Bay, produce a remake to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. 2003. Andrew Banarski portrays Leatherface, and he is noteworthy as being the only actor to portray Leatherface more than once in one of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre films. R. Lee Emery, the crazy, nasty ass drill instructor from Stanley Kubrick's Full Metal Jacket, portrays Sheriff Hoyt. And Sheriff Hoyt in the remake kind of rivals Leatherface as just being a fucked up, mean ass character. A new group of young adults are on their way to see Leonard Skinner in their van, happen upon a hitchhiker, and herein lies the first of many differences to the original, because there is no hitchhiker or nubbins. Instead, they pick up a young girl. Events transpire, and this leads them to the farmhouse where they meet the Hewitt family. The second very big difference in this retelling. The real star here, besides Banarski, the guy that plays Leatherface, is Jessica Biel. Now, Jessica Biel and those tight jeans and wife beater t-shirt are the real stars of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake. There's also Erica Learson, who is pretty hot. Directed by Marcus Nispel, again for Platinum Dunes, who went on to do more horror remakes of classics. Friday the 13th, A Nightmare on Elm Street. Were they as good as the originals? That's up for debate, and we're not discussing that here. I love the Friday the 13th remake. 2009 with Derek Mears as Jason. Fucking great movie. 3 years later, there is a prequel. And this is the first time that a prequel is made to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and that is the Texas Chainsaw Massacre: The Beginning. Now, this goes back several years and tells the story that leads up to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake from 2003. And so we find out the origins of Sheriff Hoyt, who isn't actually a fucking sheriff, he's just a nut. Old Monty, Mama's back. This time you've got Jordana Brewster as the resident hottie, and also Diora Baird, who is, good fucking lord, back in the early 2000s, that chick was smoking fucking hot. As a prequel to the remake, The Beginning is pretty good. Now again, you get into remakes, alternate universe / mythology, because it's the Hewitt family, not the Sawyers. So it's kind of like we're reinventing, we're retelling. It's a new story. 39 years after the original, this time a true sequel is presented in Texas Chainsaw 3D. Now, this was fucking cool, and by far one of my favorites. Jonathan Lusenhump directs. A solid entry in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre mythology. My opinion, only one that matters. Dan Yeager stars as Leatherface, and I think this is a cool fucking portrayal of Leatherface, and to me, he's a little more dark and menacing. Much of Texas Chainsaw 3D takes place either in like this dark basement area or in the dark outside, and there's just really some fucking good chases and fucking shit, jump scares in the dark. I think it's just a really good fucking sequel to the original, and this time going back to the Sawyer family. Alexandra Daddario who is just fucking beautiful. Fucking beautiful. Dear God. Alexandra Daddario plays Heather Miller. Heather finds out that she is adopted and that she has an inheritance pending. And so she ventures to Texas to, collect on this inheritance. The prologue of the film is an actual continuation of the events of the Texas Chainsaw Massacre from 1974. You have Bill Moseley playing Drayton Sawyer, and you've got Gunnar Hansen in a cameo as another member of the Sawyer family. And it seems that the family has got together now because they know that Leatherface has gotten in trouble because Sally got away. And so now it's going to bring the fuzz. There's going to be some shit. There's also an angry mob. And the Sawyer family are involved in the slaughterhouse and the meat packing factory in town. And so, angry mob and the police come out, and you have this fantastic fucking standoff in a brilliant and meticulously recreated house from the original film. And when I say brilliant and meticulous, I mean they fucking reconstructed the original house from 1974 and put the Sawyer family in it. It's fucking amazing. Anyone that overlooks this, I'm just gonna say it. Fucking stupid. Stupid. There are some cool 3D coming at you gags in the film, and it was released in the theater in 3D, but on home video it was just Texas Chainsaw and just 2D. The Blu-ray comes with a 3D Blu-ray, but you got to have a 3D TV and the high-tech glasses and stuff. And I bet that's fun, but how many 3D movies are you going to purchase to watch to have to get a fucking 3D TV? I mean, who's got that kind of cash? If you do, let me hit you up for a loan. Also of note, and this to me is what makes Texas Chainsaw feel like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre original mythology continuation and makes it a worthy sequel, is again, the Sawyer family lineage continues. Marilyn Burns portrays Vera Carson, and the Carsons and the Sawyers are interwoven, and the family lineage goes down, and then that's how it leads to Heather, portrayed by Alexandra Daddario. Did I mention Alexandra Daddario? Holy fuck. This was actually supposed to be the launching pad for a series of new Texas Chainsaw Massacre films, as the producers had acquired the rights, and there was supposed to be further adventures of Leatherface and Heather. It didn't happen. So sadly, because then we didn't get to see more of the character develop of Heather. And I would have liked to see a psychotic, maybe chainsaw wielding, or at least, cutting meat or helping, making steaks and shit. More Heather. Next up, in 2017, Julianne Maury and Alexandro Alexandre. I can't butcher these guys' name any worse than I did the names in the Turkish films episode. But Julianne Moray and Alexandra Bustillo, Bustillo, Bustillo. These are the guys that were responsible for the French new wave of horror film Inside. And there are many fans of Inside. That's a fucking great, just mind-blowing fucking film. And one of those fucking, you know, really fucking far out French films that came along with, you know, like High Tension and some others, really good ones. What was Frontiers? Was Frontiers French? Or was that Norwegian? Where did Frontiers come from? That has a heavy fucking Texas Chainsaw Massacre vibe to it, man. Frontiers is fucking great. So these French guys get a hold of a really cool script that will present a prequel to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. There's a really cool prologue where a couple is driving and they come across something in the middle of the road. It ends up being this fucking little kid with like a pig head on, and he runs off and the girl follows after him, and really it's a fucking trap, because then Drayton and Nubbins Sawyer are waiting in this barn and they fucking fuck this girl up. And so then the sheriff, played by Stephen Dorff, comes and he knows that it was fucking Drayton and Nubbins responsible, and the young girl who died is his daughter, so he's fucking pissed. Along comes Vera Sawyer, the matriarch of the family. Think back to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the female corpse upstairs. Grandma, Mama, Lily Taylor as Vera Sawyer, the matriarch of the family. She comes along and she's fucking having it out with Sheriff Hartman, and he's fucking pissed. He says, "One of mine for all of yours," and he's gonna fucking take all her children away from her, starting with little Jedediah, the little boy, gets put into a basically institution slash orphanage. In the hospital, there's a group of teens, and you've got Clarice, this really nasty chick, and you've got Ike, who's a real dick. You've got Big Bud, this big overweight kind of slow guy, and then you've got Jackson. And the new nurse meets Jackson and these guys, and she's kind of sympathetic to Jackson and she wants to help him and blah blah blah, but he's fucked up already. There's a inmate revolt and they escape, go on the lam. It ends up being this crazy fucking road movie, and the evolution and creation of the character of Leatherface, who goes on to be Gunnar Hansen in the original film. Now, as far as timelines go, you've got the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then you've got the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Part 2. If you go into alternate universes and mythologies, what do they call it in like Marvel? Isn't it like the multiverse? Or Leatherface, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre 3, and the Texas Chainsaw Massacre Next Generation movie have alternate Sawyer families, but still the Sawyer families. When you get into the fucking remakes, then you have the Hewitt family and their lineage, which is different. You know, Leatherface even has a different name. You know, he doesn't have brothers. I would think people would have a harder time with the alternate mythology of the remakes than they would with even Leatherface, T.C.M. 3, and Next Generation. But Next Generation just sucks. Let's leave it at that. Modern era tie-ins to the original would be Texas Chainsaw 3D, a sequel, and Leatherface being a prequel. So these two modern era movies from 2013 and 17 sandwich the original Tobe Hooper classic. And to me, that's more real, definitive, true to the original mythology. And then we get into the recent clusterfuck shit show wannabe sequel to the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, directed by David Blue Garcia, an Emmy award-winning director and cinematographer who had done music videos and commercials, and his directorial debut, Tejano, was critically acclaimed and enjoyed by multitudes of people. Never heard of it. Fede Alvarez produces this film, and it goes direct to Netflix. No theatrical release, did not deserve one, does not deserve a second thought, let alone a fucking theatrical release. This fucking abomination is so fucking bad. Is so fucking bad. The new film's plot is set 48 years after the first film. So 48 years after the first film, with Leatherface being now 60 years old. Let's do the math. That means he was fucking 12 in the original. If we're going real fucking timeline, we're talking 1974 to 2022. He was 12 fucking years old. Give me a fucking break. It makes my head hurt how fucking stupid this is. Sally got away. She's old. She's bitter. They say something about Sally Hardesty being in law enforcement or something like that, and having searched for Leatherface all this time. It doesn't make sense. And that character, the legendary final girl from the original Texas Chainsaw Massacre, I could see her getting into law enforcement. I could see a little nod to Lefty Enright here. Has searched and searched for Leatherface, who killed her brother and friends in the summer of 1974. So we never know how old Sally is in the first film, but let's say she's about 19 or 20. Okay? Let's say at the youngest, 19 to 21, Leatherface in the prequel. Okay? So he's about 23, 25 in Texas Chainsaw Massacre. So going with the youngest age possible, he's 60 in Texas Chainsaw 3D. And that would be believable. And also more believable because he plays it a little older, maybe a little slower. There's still some great fucking stalking and he's chasing after people, but he's not running fucking full clip like he's a fucking, 50-yard dash fucking participant or a sprinter. And by the end of Texas Chainsaw 3D, he sits down. He's fucking tired. He's just like, fuck, I can't do this shit like I did back in the day with fucking Nubbins and fucking Chop Top and Drayton Sawyer. It's just more believable. So going with the youngest age he could possibly be in the original. He's 71 or 72 fucking years old in this new film. But yet, he's running around like he's a spry 30. He's got the fucking strength of Superman. And it's just fucking stupid. It's stupid. Not to mention the stupidest characters, the weakest fucking story, and some of the ugliest chicks I've ever seen in any Texas Chainsaw Massacre movie. I mean, fucking go down the list of all the movies that I've talked about previously. You've got names like fucking Alexandra Daddario, Jordana Brewster, Jessica Biel, Kate Hodge, Caroline Williams, and Terry McMinn and Marilyn Burns in the original film are both hot as fuck. Both sexy 70s mamas. Going with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre universe, mythology, timeline, history. Fede Alvarez, were you not involved in the casting process? Did you not give us Jane Levy? 9 years ago, stole my fucking heart. And she has it still. You give us this shit sequel with some of the ugliest chicks. Dear God, what's the matter with you, Fede Alvarez? You disappoint me, man. You disappoint me. And that's the Netherworld Videozine for today. I want to thank you for watching my shitty fucking video. I would love to have some feedback and comments and fucking inquiries and fucking love letters. Comment, like, share, subscribe. I'm Diablo, along with Sylvester the superhero crime-fighting cat. This is the Netherworld Videozine, and we'll see you next time, motherfucker.